Well, hello everybody. How is it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the RambleCast Christmas edition. Um for reasons? Oh, what in the world? Wait, is it doing that? Oh, Corbin's screen is weirdly frozen in
Whoops.
OBS. No, it's just OBS that's got it wrong. Um well, that's not ideal. Why is it doing that? It wasn't doing this a little bit ago. Um, let's see, is it? There we go. It, for some reason, it reverted back to the last week's freeze frame. Don't know why. Okay, anyway, Merry Christmas, everyone. Or I'm saying that because chances are there will be no RambleCast on Christmas Day next week, which is when it would otherwise land. So may as well say it early. How's it going, Carson? How's it going, Brawl? Good to see both of you. Um, and yes, already starting with glitches on the stream. Look, it would not be the RambleCast if something wasn't going a little sideways.
Look, it's the week before Christmas.
And all through that.
What do you want? What do you want from us? Like, this is the best you're getting at this time. I'm
Wow,
barely
that's
conscious.
depressing.
I'm barely conscious. I went to the dentist. My mouth hurts. You're lucky I'm here. You're lucky you get to see me today. This is my gift to all of you. Is I'm here.
I think that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Cody streaming on Christmas is like playing games at a funeral. Yikes.
Wow.
That's
Is Cody that sad?
yes.
Okay.
Come on. We work for a company that Gamergate Bros have taken notice of.
All I want for Christmas is for our ISP to give us a new modem so we can have Wi-Fi 6. Yeah, I guess that's been kind of my Christmas present to myself. Is like a month ago I got a new router. It's pretty sweet. I may also have another present in like a month, but it's going to be horrifically expensive. So, yeah, I don't know yet. Yeah, so starting off with a check-in on the WordPress situation. Not going well.
No.
Um,
And
is this the
this is the
where's
pineapple
the
incident.
yeah? So, WordPress. I don't know if we talked about it necessarily on the show. I feel like we did, but okay. So yeah, the WordPress was legally ordered to stop blocking WP Engine from they were blocking WP Engine's access to like WordPress plugins and trying to take over one of its plugins, like eminent domain on something they were making. So a court told them to cut that out and stop crying about it.
To be fair, I don't think the court gave them any specific demands regarding taking over that plugin. They just said you can no longer block WP Engine.
I thought they gave the plugin back.
Did they? Well, they might have done that too. I just don't think the court ordered it. I'm just saying I don't remember seeing it mentioned. That's it.
Yeah. Well, so that was last week, and then WordPress co-founder Matt Mullenweg made a hissy fit about it. He was really mad. He got really butthurt. And then more recently, the login form to WordPress.org, which used to have a checkbox that says, I am not affiliated with WP Engine, in order to log in, they've now changed that checkbox to say, pineapple is delicious on pizza. This is just embarrassing, guys. It's like, they're not going to remove the checkbox because that would be like WP Engine winning, so they're gonna change it to a stupid thing as a joke. It's not funny. You guys aren't funny. I say guys, it's just Matt. Matt's making someone do this. I'm pretty sure everyone else at WordPress like doesn't want to be dealing with this right now.
Okay. I agree with all this, but I'd like to throw in. I think it needs to be said. Actually, two things need to be said. Number one, oh, I'm getting macOS reactions now. Weird, because
Nice.
I got a notice popping up saying these were disabled. Literally just minutes ago.
I can't get it to come up. Come on.
And you can't get it. Nice. Okay, anyway. First off, I'd like to point out this is actually considered grammatically incorrect because you're not supposed to, on checkboxes like this, you're not supposed to have a period at the end. So, Matt, you failed on even the most basic of internet principles. Second, out of everything that this loser of a man has said, this is finally his one good take. He finally got something right. Pineapple is, in fact, delicious on pizza. Don't at me. At Matt.
Metrics talking about using a random Asus wireless USB dongle to try to get better Wi-Fi speeds. Yeah, this is one of my peeves that has never really been addressed, is that like all Wi-Fi for desktop computers sucks.
Oh yes.
Like all of the like random PC towers have like really bad internal or sometimes no Wi-Fi. Like that's still a thing that like occasionally gets left out, especially on like cheapo custom builds. And like all of the external options are bad. Like they don't work all that well. I built a gaming PC. This one below me, I'm not using it right now, but I think I built it like 2017, 2018, and it had like some absolute cheapo wireless card in it that was awful. I don't even, I think it was Wi-Fi 4. Now granted, I did get a budget motherboard, but it was still pretty bad. And the Wi-Fi when I got my Mac Mini, the Wi-Fi in that was so much better that I set up my Mac Mini to do internet sharing over Ethernet, and I plugged it into the PC. So I was using my Mac Mini like a really expensive wireless access point for a while. And then I did get a Wi-Fi 6E card for the PC a little while ago. So yeah. Anyway, now that I've got that out of the way, Wi-Fi on desktop computers still sucks. Matt is a crybaby loser, and we do not associate with him.
I mean,
and yeah.
Again, though, a stop clock is right once a day,
Right.
or twice sometimes.
I have no opinion on the pizza thing.
Coward.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, this is a totally dumb story, but I just think it's funny. Also, I just want to say I like pineapple. But other dumb stories, because yeah, it is. AirTag battery with the possibility of lasting 10 years. Yes, this is a thing someone has actually decided to do. A time capsule AirTag.
Yeah, this is a third-party case for AirTags that someone made. It's $20. It basically replaces the coin cell battery that goes in an AirTag, and it uses two AA batteries, which they say should last like up to 10 years. And honestly, the battery part isn't like as potentially interesting to me here as the rest of the case. They say this is IP69, water and dust proof.
Giggity.
So yeah, so you could like put this in anything that goes outside. They mentioned that like it could go in like camera bags or RVs or cars or whatever. I have an AirTag in my car, but I the battery life is not much of an issue because again, my phone alerts me when the battery needs to be replaced. But I guess something like this would be ideal for like, I don't know, you're putting it somewhere where it's like really inconvenient to get to again. But yeah, like it's designed to go in like larger stuff or stuff that needs to go outside and be durable because the air tags are not really waterproof or water resistant by default. That's why you have to buy little like cases that go over them to add that. So yeah, this is a thing you can buy if you need it. I don't really need it, but maybe someone else does.
So I actually I don't know if this would be possible, but I feel like they're missing exactly one thing in this case idea. And emphasis on I really don't know if this would be possible, but it feels like it would be great if they had some sort of like maybe an enlarged antenna or something like that. This thing should probably have a better ability to transmit at like longer range. That would really improve this product in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's something I don't know if you can do without like whipping out the soldering iron, but
Very possibly. But
but
yeah, that
but maybe someone will do that now that well, I mean, I say now that it's always been like this, but third party manufacturers can build their own trackers with Apple and Google's network. So it does seem like something that'd be kind of cool, but also I don't know, maybe there's like legal stuff like can you how much power can you blast Bluetooth low energy signal until it starts interfering with other wireless spectrum? I don't know.
I don't know, but right now I'm just picturing that old it's over 9,000 meme.
Right.
Yeah. That just feels like the appropriate answer to that.
Or they tack on a different way of location transmission. Like there's like a little like FM radio that like you're getting closer to it when when like the beeps speed up or something, and then you switch to the Find My app.
Yeah, that's a rad meter, bud.
Yeah. This product looks perfect for a treasure chest.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like this would go hard with like geocaching
Yep.
in like 2005. Like that'd be sick.
There's some part of me that's picturing like extreme geocaching where you have to head to like the Andes or into the Amazon or something like that just to go looking for it. And once you get out there, like, come on, you need that enhanced Bluetooth range. Give me something that can transmit Bluetooth for like half a mile. I'm mostly kidding. Like 85%. Anyway, yeah, I actually like the idea of this. I think it makes some sense. I'm not really sure why you necessarily need this, but I could picture a scenario where maybe you're gonna leave something in a place for a long period of time, and the 1 year that was it 1 year on AirTags, I think.
Yeah, it's around 1 year. And they say so. Actually, just going to the announcement blog post that Mac Rumors links, their justification for making it is they said my camera bag with $10,000 of gear was stolen from my car. When I saw the broken glass and empty backseat, I immediately pulled up my Find My app to track the thief, only to find that its last location was my office 3 months ago because I hadn't changed the AirTags battery. And that's was supposedly the inspiration for this. Which, yeah, like the Find My app, like it does give you notifications when a tag needs to be replaced, but like it's like one notification it might get sent a couple times, but like with how bad you know,
With
everyone's
how bad
notifications
iOS
are now,
notifications are.
right? Yeah, it's like I completely understand missing that. And also like I've definitely done the thing where I see it's a little bad, it's like I'll deal with that later, and then I never deal with that. But
For shame.
it yeah, well it's a lot of the stuff is in like stuff that doesn't leave my home. So it's it's not that big of a priority. Um
It
but yeah.
should be.
So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Um, though, changing batteries, that's actually one of the things I'm usually pretty good about. Um,
What's funny is that the I know at least some rumors for the new AirTag were saying it won't have a replaceable battery, which I don't know why, unless they want to make it thinner, because Tile did do that. They've made a bunch of trackers that are thinner with the catch that you can't replace the battery, so you just have to like buy a new tracker every year. It's the dumbest thing. I hate Tile. I know like you can't like physically make something that like goes into like a credit card slot in a wallet that also uses like a coin cell battery, or yeah, you can, but like it's not gonna fit all that well. It might
yeah, it's
slide
gonna
out.
be a little too thick.
Yeah, so like I get it, but also it's dumb and feels wasteful. Yeah, I have like 5 or 6 air tags, or like third party things that are air tags. Had one on my dog, one's in the car, one's on my bike. The one that was on my dog is now on my camera. And I have one in my backpack. I think that's all of them.
Corbin doesn't
So
respect his dog's privacy. Confirmed.
yeah.
Always has to
So
know
yeah.
where the doggo is. Um, yeah. Anyway, no, oh, geez. Sorry, I'm just suddenly picturing somebody lashing this battery tomb around their dog.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Don't do that.
There's someone out there who will do that. I guarantee it.
No.
Some Floridian is sitting there going, "Oh my God, this is how I can keep Bowser in check."
Yeah, you don't need to do that. You can just replace the battery once a year. It's okay. And there's a bunch. The annoying thing with AirTags and pets is that the first party ones are designed to start beeping if the thing is moving, but not near you recently. So like in theory, if you lose your pet and they're moving and they're not around you for several days, like it's gonna start beeping and it's probably gonna freak them out more. So that's maybe some potential trauma to keep in mind, but that never happened with my dog. And they do make like pet collars with a little slot for the AirTag, which is kind of cool. But I didn't get one of those. I just got like the Anchor AirTag clone that had a little hook in it, and it just went in the hook where the name tag goes. That worked fine.
And
But
yeah,
yeah,
David, that's pretty much the point. Is yeah,
yeah,
you could stick something like this in luggage. I could see maybe putting it into like, well,
luggage, vehicles,
yeah, vehicles,
other large things that move.
pretty much.
Your mother.
Oh wow,
Sorry.
Corbin, no, we are not going. No, I'm not even going to say the rest of it. Okay, anyway, wow. So moving on to other horrible things,
Right.
like your mother.
Wow.
Wow. This is just gonna be one of those shows. Oh, and okay, there's questions about the Moto tag. I assume you're talking about the one that is cross network between Google's Find My and what was it? What was the other thing it was compatible with? Was it Apple? I think it's compatible with
App.
both Google and Apple's Find My networks.
Yeah, they're both called Find My, except Apple is Find My, Google's is Find My Device, I think. But
Something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, anyway, let's be honest, everyone just calls them Find My. Anyway, so yeah, I think at this stage the Motorola one is pretty much universally agreed. It's the best one. Um Also because it's the only one on Android that is compatible with Google's network and also has what is that feature that has the sort of directional
Ultra wideband.
yes, UWB. Um yeah, it's the only one to my knowledge that supports UWB. What's interesting about that is I had sort of off the record or well, it wasn't off the record, but it was not attributable with somebody working at one of the other companies, and they pretty directly said, yeah, we actually wanted to put it into our tracker, except Google didn't support it at the time and basically didn't give us the option to do that. And then it was what, a year and something later when they finally launched the network, and by then they had implemented it, and they worked with Motorola to add it to their tracker. And so the other two companies that launched with it were SOL. They basically kind of got blindsided by Motorola getting to launch pretty shortly after them, and with the feature that they didn't get to include. So yeah, that was I think there's a little bit of saltiness there, and I don't blame them. Honestly, I don't blame them at all. I think everyone's justified in being a little salty about that, because man, Google's delays in launching their network were embarrassing. Let's see. It also fits all AirTag accessories. Yeah, that is one of the other nice things about Motorola's trackers. It is basically the most universal, accessible, and feature-rich tracker that there is. So good on Motorola for finally making a thing that people want.
So it's like physically identical dimensions to Apple's tag.
I don't think it's identical, but it's similar enough and like probably smaller in whatever ways it needs to be that it could still fit into all the same accessories, I think.
Okay. That's pretty neato.
Yeah, I mean, hey, why not?
Although I'm looking at it now, yeah, this doesn't have the hook in it either, so you do need a case or something that has a hook if you want to hang it on stuff.
Well, you would not. I believe there's no way to get a hook into it because the CR2032 battery consumes so much of the space, it doesn't really allow any extra room for a loop or a hook or anything.
Yeah, because I've got this is Anchor's, it's Eufy branded, which is Anchor. It's just one of their brands, and I've got it on my camera, and it is a little bit larger than an AirTag, but like
a little.
It's just because it's square shaped, and it does have the hook in it, which is nice. So, yeah.
Let's see. What angers you? Some LG Velvets got Android 13 and most didn't. Some have a bigger battery than others. That sounds like LG. And yes, LG. I don't think anyone's surprised LG went out of business with phones. The company will follow someday. But yeah. Speaking of companies that probably should go out of business, Adobe. They have released new pricing or a somewhat slightly adjusted pricing strategy for their photography plan.
Yeah. So, Adobe's, famously, you can only get most of Adobe's products through subscriptions,
And torrents.
which can get, yeah, which can get horrifically expensive, except the torrents. Um,
Well, those can too
and
if you do it wrong.
right. But kind of the outlier there was their cheapest photography plan, which got you 20 gigs of storage, access to Photoshop, including the Photoshop like tablet app if you want to use that, and Lightroom, and Lightroom Classic if you don't like the new Lightroom, and the Lightroom mobile apps, all for was it 20? It was $10 a month. Yeah, so that was pretty good. Like, obviously no one likes subscriptions, but like you're getting the full Photoshop, full Lightroom, a little bit of cloud storage. Wasn't that bad. Now they're increasing that to $20 a month, which is not as good. That's kind of a bummer. The catch there is like, they're doing this in a weird way where they're technically discontinuing the 20 gigs plan that was $10 a month, which leaves the same plan but with 1 terabyte of cloud storage, which is $20 a month. So effectively, they're raising the price. Existing customers get to keep it, but it will switch to $15 a month. Although actually they say, I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. Monthly billing remains an option for existing members with an updated price of $15 a month with an annual commitment effective at your next renewal. Existing members who pay monthly can switch to the prepaid annual plan to maintain their $10 a month price. So yeah, you only get to keep your existing plan if you switch to yearly pricing, which is kind of a dick move to do right now after many people are spending money for the holidays, and also a dick move for me because on top of that, I have like 3 or 4 unrelated yearly renewals that also happen around this time. So this is like really bad scheduling for me if I want to keep this. And also, if you're weird, you can get the Lightroom only plan for $120 a year. Which I don't, which is okay. So that's $10 a month. So what you used to be able to get Photoshop and Lightroom for with 20 gigs of storage, they will give you Lightroom, just Lightroom, with a terabyte of storage. So basically everything's more expensive and they changed all their plans, and this was their best plan and it's gone now. So Brawl said buy local storage. The cloud storage is mostly just like an upsell. It's like, it's not that bad because we're giving you storage, but like a lot of people don't use that. Like the cloud storage on my Adobe plan, I use, that's just like where my Lightroom pictures sync. But like I delete old photos in there, and all my Photoshop documents are on my own storage. The cloud storage is mostly there for, so they can say it's there, and for synchronizing Lightroom images. Because again, you can just keep your Photoshop documents on your own cloud storage or local storage or whatever. But yeah, it's annoying. I'm probably gonna suck it up and pay the increase because I do use Photoshop basically every day. I use the Lightroom at least once a week. And there's not really a replacement that exists that has Photoshop's like content aware fill is a big one for me. The UI with most of the alternatives I've seen are bad, but also Photoshop's UI is bad. I'm just used to it. So I understand that's not like, that's a me thing. Um, Also piracy. Yeah, like I that is sometimes an option. The thing though is like I I the existence of Lightroom synchronization makes piracy annoying. Because if I still want the option of being able to edit photos on my iPad or start editing photos on one computer and then go edit them on another one, that becomes more difficult because you can't pirate the cloud storage and synchronizing servers. You need like a license for that. It needs to be activated. Um, so that's how they get you. You can use Lightroom, locally, but I don't really like doing that. That's more annoying. So, yeah.
So, okay, so this is the changes for quote unquote existing customers, or anyone that hurries up and signs up like ASAP. Um, so new customers can no longer get the Lightroom and Photoshop plan for $9.99 at all.
Correct.
Okay.
They're keeping the 1 terabyte plan, um, which
Yeah.
is the $20 a month or yearly more expensive. So yeah, my options are pay. Well, they say $15 a month with annual commitments. That's yearly. So basically, they're like, you have to pay more, and also we're gonna lock you in for a year. Suck it.
Okay, but so there's no way to get the okay. It's just hard to it's hard to parse this blog post because I've skimmed it and I just don't see where they said new customers can't get the old plan.
There is a table.
Yeah, I believe me, I've been looking at the table just
Okay.
um
Well, they say with the 20, where it says photography plan 20 gigabytes at the end of that paragraph, they say we will continue to support this plan for existing customers. However, this plan will no longer be available to new customers.
Right. I read that whole paragraph, but it like kind of tuned out at the very last sentence, which was my mistake. I did a Corbin. Huh. Yeah, this is pretty scummy. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a part of me that's like, wait a second, should I just suck it up and get back onto this while it still exists? Because obviously you have until January 15th, I guess, to get in with the old plan and lock it in, which I assume is going to be a thing that remains available, or remains like an option for people who are locked in. But yeah, I'm just wondering, is this going to be a thing that ceases to exist next year, and they're just going to be like, oh, we only promised that existing customers would get to keep this for this renewal, but after that, oh, we didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, they say the annual plan doesn't change. Yeah, so basically they're using the stupid words again. It's monthly billing but with an annual commitment. So they're doing the insurance thing where you get the rate for the year, but then they let you pay it monthly, but then if you cancel that, then there's like the cancellation fee or whatever.
Yeah, no, I know about that.
Um,
Which, yes, that is a scummy tactic. I am kind of grossed out that they even have that. And a lot of people are. There, in fact, I know there was talk about a lawsuit, like an attempted class action, because they hide the terms of that so that people don't spot them very easily. Um,
yeah.
and yeah, Adobe will probably never get punished for it, but they should. Um, it's actually a really gross anti-pattern that they've used. Um, but hey,
Yeah, like yeah, they're pulling out all the stops. It wasn't enough that the apps for professionals are horrifically expensive and they already have guaranteed revenue from companies that use their tools. And it's not enough that they have subscriptions, but they also need subscriptions with very blatant anti-consumer policies. And it's also not enough that they have subscriptions with anti-consumer policies, but they're also going to raise those subscriptions now. So it's just gross. I don't. They should have been able to keep that $10 a month plan, especially considering like Photoshop really, again, has not significantly changed. In, if it wasn't, I mean, the content aware fill was in like CS5, I think. So like,
well, the early versions of it, it has
yeah,
improved.
like it was, yeah, that's improved. But like, I always go back to like, I could switch to like CS3 and be fine. Like the content aware would be worse, but like basically everything I need there is there. It's just that I don't get like the Apple Silicon optimized versions anymore. Doing that,
Like you need that.
and I lose Lightroom sync and all that fun stuff. So it's annoying. Um, so I don't know. I'll probably suck it up, but also maybe look at Affinity Photo again. I don't know.
Yeah. So first off,
Also, remains to be seen how this will affect the app that Apple bought. I forgot what that was called.
it's Pixelmator. Well, Pixelmator
Pixelmator.
Pro plus I forget what the other variants are, but they came out with one or two other apps in more recent years, which all from the same company. So yeah, Apple recently bought that. The one obvious catch is that is a Mac only app as opposed to Photoshop or Affinity. So if you find yourself going back to Windows for any particular reason, or Linux, you'd kind of be SOL that way. But
yeah,
yeah,
well,
I
you're
am
going to
curious what
Linux, then
Apple's
you were
gonna
never using Adobe's products in the first place.
do. That's true.
Except the Photoshop web app, which does work on Linux and Chromebooks.
Yeah, but that web app is kind of garbage.
Yeah, it's not good.
So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start comparing Adobe to Oracle, because this actually is Oracle's classic business model, which was basically kind of use reasonable pricing and some tactics to get companies to sign up with you in the first place, and then you progressively keep hiking prices. You use vendor lock-in strategies to basically force companies to stay with you indefinitely, because switching off of you becomes increasingly expensive and more difficult. You aren't necessarily providing any new or higher quality value. You're just making it harder to leave, which ask any longtime photographer about their Lightroom database, dare you, and just ask them what they would do if they had to leave that behind. You will find a lot of photographers give you that like icy stare and say, I don't want to talk about it, because they've got vendor lock-in deep with that.
Yeah, I've seen some of those people with like, oh yeah, I have like 17 hard drives that is just local Lightroom
Yep.
databases.
Pro
uh,
photographers, like at wedding photographers and the like, oh man, they're kind of stuck with that database because they never learned how to do any sort of other management or never set up any other management. And with Lightroom, all of your changes, like whatever color work you did or repair work you did on a photo in Lightroom, that stuff is only in the Lightroom format. Which, okay, that would be true with any particular app, but yeah, you can never get those changes back out if you don't have access to Lightroom. So
yep.
bad times to be dependent on something like that. Now, granted, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
those photos you might not care about anymore, so maybe you can leave them behind. But
yeah, that's
yeah,
that's that's me with Lightroom, where like 90% of the photos in there are photos that I've uploaded to like my Flickr, so I don't really need the copy in Lightroom anymore. I'm not going to go back in 5 years and make edits. Or they're photos I took for work, so now they're on the, you know, work CMS where it's not my issue anymore. And it's importantly, it's photos I don't own, so there's no value in me keeping them. Um, so yeah, I'm not quite in that zone, but I understand. Makes total sense. Other people are. And Oracle is actually a good example because they have been messing up the licensing terms for Java to the point where there's a bunch of companies and people I know in software engineering jobs are like, yeah, my company right now is like ripping out Java from everything. They told us like, get all the Java code out of here. We can't have this anymore. It's too expensive.
um,
Um,
I just had an interesting thought, and I wonder how possible this is. I wonder if anyone's documented or hacked apart the Lightroom catalog format, because it can't be that hard to build a converter that could be used to get your settings out of that catalog for individual photos and then turn it into like an affinity file. um I'm doing a quick look and I don't see anything. Oh, someone has done it for Capture One though. Okay, so this is a thing that can be done. It just, I don't think anyone has done it with Affinity. Hmm. And I kind of get that because Affinity, their raw processing is miles behind. Like, it's so much. It's weird. I'm sorry. This is a bit of a rant. It's a, I think, pretty valid complaint. For something named Affinity Photo, the software is not really for photos. I mean, to an extent it is, but it's more for, I would say, digital artists. It's for people who are doing compositing and special, like, it, digital art.
right.
They might be using
Like the
photos.
the the graphics part of graphic design.
Yes. Yeah, it's more of a designer thing or compositing tool. It's
Which is most of my work.
sure. It's not as much for, let's say, photographers. It's definitely not for wedding photographers. Holy crap. They have to cycle through hundreds and thousands of images. Whereas Affinity Photo is more for somebody who might take one or a few photos and they're like maybe merging them together. They're doing some work to kind of like clean up the stuff and then composite it into a single image. It's really, really poorly designed if what you want to do is take like 500 photos from a wedding, and first, there's no culling process at all. Second, the editing process and cleanup and all that stuff, oh yeah, it's not a good situation. So yeah, I don't think I don't think it should be called Affinity Photo. Just there's my take. It's sort of the wrong
finite
name.
photo.
Well, no, take photo out of it, because photos are almost the last concern that they have. It's way more for just making a single pretty image, not processing 100 images.
Mm.
Except in very specific cases, like if you're doing like light trails or synthesized long exposures, things like that, where you're importing a lot of images, or maybe you're doing it's actually pretty good for batch processing a bunch of images, but batch processing is different from it one at a time making edits. So yeah, I kind of wish that they would give more attention to the actual like photo processing side. Anyway,
Yeah, and I do like that. I went to Affinity's website and I went to their company blog newsroom, and the first post is from July, and it's the last time Adobe made everyone mad when and then Affinity expanded their free trial to 6 months. So maybe they'll do that again. I don't know. Austin said, "What program should I buy to make photos of secret surveillance drones not look like commercial airplanes?" I definitely want an AI upscaler for
yeah,
that.
I was just gonna say, clearly what you need is AI.
Yeah, I will say, there is a app called Upscale. It's like UP. I'm just gonna put it in the YouTube chat. It's like a bunch of syllables taken out. You know the drill. But I did download this, and I sadly I do use it a lot now, almost entirely because companies refuse to give me high resolution images for things I'm writing. Like I was using this for a bunch of Raspberry Pi announcements recently because they have like the world's worst image compression on their blog. I was using this for some other press kits. I was writing an article for a laptop that's going to come out at CES, and some of the images were like 600 by 600. I'm like, what year is it, guys? This is crazy. So I'm just dumping everything into this tool now, and it does work pretty good. It has like different presets for photos and like one for like kind of graphics. I used the graphics one on a screenshot, and it actually looked pretty good. It made it look like the screenshot was on like a Retina screen, like higher DPI. Pretty cool. So I said gigapixel is so much better. Okay, I might try that. Because one thing I have noticed here is that this is advertised for like upscaling photos, but every time I've tried it on like a really old photo, it doesn't really make it look better. It just kind of makes it look like when I had an old OnePlus phone and I took pictures, and it made everything look like watercolor paintings. It kind of has that effect. So I haven't really used it for photos as much, but stuff like press images and like random graphics and screenshots has been pretty cool.
So Gigapixel AI is, I would say that this is the catch. It is paid software. It's $99. Whereas the big selling point, I would argue, for Upscale was free, yo.
Yeah, Upscale is just like it's like an Electron wrapper around like some command line tool, I'm sure, but it works fine. Reasonably fast on my M1 Mac, so that's nice.
He's saying Gigapixel is 200. You paid 200.
Oh, you paid 200.
Okay, it's there's
sucker.
It's on holiday sale. That's why. I did not look up at the top of the page very clearly, but wait, what? 30% off for one item, 40 off for 2 and 50 off for all 3. But wait, what in the... Oh, I see. Okay, so wait, what are they doing? So honestly, I don't get what's going on here. So it seems like, could you get Gigapixel 8 for... Okay, you can get Gigapixel 8 for $69.
Nice.
I guess?
It says 99 on my web browser.
Right, but... Okay, so... Click on the big sale banner at the top, and it takes you to a page that lists the deal for days stuff. And it has Gigapixel 8 for $69 in there. So if I just hit add to cart, continue to checkout, I think it's continue to check. I'm hitting the button. Okay, it seems to not respect the continue to checkout part. Do you have to get
This
all
does
three
look
of these?
this does look better. I'd imagine if my work mattered more, this might be a good investment. But most of the time, I'm just like bumping it up to like 2x resolution. I'm not doing crazy upscaling, and I don't really need to upscale old pictures that often. So,
So yeah, neither do I. But there's a part of me that also, I could almost see doing something like that, just not necessarily for the upscaling, but to sort of clean up some focus issues or stuff like that, which I imagine this would, like a lot of upscalers tend to also kind of do that for free.
yeah. The demo image I posted on my Mastodon and Blue Sky a while back on that Raspberry Pi image, it did upscale, and it also did a pretty good job on like noise removal and that kind of thing. So,
Oh,
yeah.
They have one for video too. That's actually kind of neat.
I was also looking into image upscaling for image share, because screenshots from the 3DS are like 320 pixels wide. I forget the height, but it's like roughly like 16 by 10. So I was looking at like what are some very efficient methods of doing this on a server when they upload the image, and there's not really anything I wanted to set up, especially since a lot of these need to be GPU accelerated, and I'm paying for the cheapest VPS possible. So
yeah,
it's not an option. Anyway, so Adobe sucks. That's the conclusion we've come to.
it is the correct conclusion.
I hope Apple. I'm so glad I looked at Adobe's audio editor for like 15 seconds, because I'm definitely never like investing time into another product from this company again.
So here's the thing, and I'm gonna come out with the hottest take of takes. Adobe only actually makes 2 good products, and it's Photoshop and Lightroom. And I would argue Lightroom is sort of it's fine. It's certainly not the best, but it's at least good. Because compare Lightroom to Capture One, and honestly, Capture One blows it out of the water. Like it's not even funny how much better Capture One is. But you know, that's also sort of like comparing DaVinci Resolve against like Vegas Pro. Vegas is not at the same level. It just isn't. Anyway, the thing is, when you look at Adobe's other product lines, Premiere Pro up until 2 years ago was literally considered a joke by basically anyone but YouTubers. YouTubers and like corporate advertising people. The corporate advertising people only liked it because it's what they could get licenses to use. And YouTubers liked it because it was a status symbol to be paying for Adobe's license, which, if that's any sign, if that's any indication, that's not a good sign. If your thing is only there as a status symbol, that's bad. Other than that, Premiere Pro has pretty much been laughed at by most professionals because it was buggy, it crashed all the time, performance was horrid. Yeah, it wasn't a good video editor. Their special effects tool, After Effects, was actually pretty good. But the fact that it was so closely tied with Premiere Pro, not a great sign. And there are other things that can do the same stuff, and most of them are better. They're just not integrated as easily. Adobe's audio tools. There are two. Audition, and I forget what the other one's called. These are not great either. They exist. They do the job that they're supposed to do, but honestly, the only good argument for using them is basically if you need to use them with Premiere Pro. I've never heard anyone else say that they actually would choose these over anything else. Uh-oh. What has Mark got to say? Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. And I do love Mark. He's great, but yeah, I kind of wish he had not gone to Adobe. Cuz man, it just feels like a bad place. But I will grant the removing of window reflections is pretty awesome. Anyway.
Yeah,
And
I think definitely the takeaway that I think is very easily dismissed is what comes up in a lot of these discussions is like, oh, why are you giving Adobe money? Just use GIMP or this other app or one of the other apps. Like, well, not everyone can, you have to. There's a lot more nuance in here that if you're not in the industry, you might not understand. And it's nuance that's annoying. So
well, I don't think there's any. Well, there are rare instances where someone's not allowed to use stuff, or there's like industry expectation, like someone's going to hand you a PSD and expect you to hand back a PSD.
I can survive like that, using other photo editors, but like I don't want to.
Yeah,
it's like way more time consuming and annoying, and none of them. It's like 50% content aware, so no one's figured that out.
Right.
And which is weird because like we have like local AI models for doing image generation now. It's just no one's like connected that to the alternative editors yet.
I'm gonna quickly argue that yours is not a case of nuance. Yours is just a case of preference.
Sure.
That and not wanting to learn something different. Which, hey, right. I can actually get behind that. I think I stuck with Photoshop for probably close to a year, just because I didn't want to dedicate time and effort into learning something different. Now that I moved over to Affinity, I'm mostly past that.
Yeah, this is definitely the closest I get to old person who is still using Windows XP and will never switch. They don't want to learn anything new. This is the closest I get to that right now. I'm like, I know Photoshop is garbage. Let me have my garbage. I know how to use it. Leave me alone.
Brawl is going to be so disappointed he missed you saying that.
Don't make me learn anything new. Although I will probably download the Affinity trial again and give it a shot because it might be okay.
I'm going to almost promise you're going to hate it at first. There's a specific set of things that are. It's kind of like the first time that you go use a Mac after using Windows exclusively for a long time. There are a few things that are different, and they really drive you nuts. They are different for the sake of being different, I think, and that sucks. But once you get past those, It's mostly fine, or at least it'd be fine for the workflows that I think you and I do. The only thing is, yes, again, they don't have content aware fill. Instead, they have a few other tools that they're not as fast, but they're pretty close once you get used to them. The thing is, you've got to get used to them and learn what they do. And that was a learning curve for me. I struggled a bit for the first couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you're also talking to a man who has never learned another programming language because JavaScript everything became JavaScript. What do I need to learn new things for?
Yeah, I'm still mad about that.
What's garbage collection? I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Look, if someone had told me 20 years ago that JavaScript, and basically an unchanged version of JavaScript, by the way, there very little has actually happened to the language of JavaScript in 20 years, which is an embarrassment, by the way. But
well,
I'm not saying
I would
nothing.
Argue,
I'm saying very little.
I mean, I would argue like asynchronous code is a big change, but yes, the JavaScript isn't the thing where like they can't really remove things, which is like kind of how programming languages usually work. Is eventually you have new ways of writing things and you stop, you get rid of the older writing styles and formats, but JavaScript can't do that because then the web would break. So
I'm just gonna say this: in 20 years, they still have the possibility that you can put in a number into a variable and pull out a string by accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like they can't change that because like someone built a website at some point that uses that for some reason, and if they change that website breaks, and you can't break websites.
They literally actually could change it. It's as simple as like maybe a declaration at the top of any JavaScript file that literally just says we're using JavaScript 2.0 or whatever. They can fix this. It's completely fixable. And then just on a per file basis, which they already have to do it this way, you just treat everything under a different engine. Like one engine for this file, and one engine for that file. It's not actually out of the question, and this is something that the V8 engine, is that what they're not using?
Yeah, that's Chrome's JavaScript engine. Yeah.
Okay, I just thought they had moved to a different one. Anyway, yeah, whatever. Like this is a thing it already does, so they can do it.
Well, the fix for this is that no one writes in the JavaScript anymore. They all write in other compilers, except me because I'm cool.
Well, they all write in something that has a preprocessor. So
yeah, all the cool kids are using TypeScript.
Yep, it's all TypeScript.
Yeah. So yeah, Adobe sucks. F's in the chat for Creative Cloud subscribers. I'm once again upset that I didn't buy more year-long Adobe subs like the last year Adobe put those on sale, because they used to do that. They used to, like, around Black Friday, they'd be like, all right, you can get a year on like little physical cards for like $20 off or something, and I bought like 3 one year, and those finally ran out like 2 years ago. I could have bought more. And of course, Adobe stopped doing that because
I don't remember what it was, but there was actually a cap on how many you could get on your account too.
Yeah, I don't think it was much more than I got, but I could have been a little bit more.
Yeah, and believe me, I look back on that, and a part of me really wishes that I had stockpiled just a stack of those things. Like, granted, it would have been a dumb waste of money to put that much into it, but at the same time, man, if I could have like 12 years of those just backed up, I'd be in heaven.
going into the bank vault once a year to open my secure storage of Adobe gift cards.
Yes.
Yes, I need to take out this year's payment. So
And what I will say though is the fact that Adobe is doing this, and I think that this is kind of the good wrap up on this. Um, Honestly, I think they are about to drive away a whole lot of people who were content to stick with Adobe through this. And whenever something happens, if they finally fall off the train for whatever reason, no one's going to want to get back on. That's going to be the thing, is they're making it way more likely that people are just going to be like, you know what? No, you asked too much today.
yeah, I mean, like that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not going to invest time and money into another Adobe product. Like this is it.
Yeah.
Which again, like, is a shame because some of them do work well. They are cross-platform, which I don't want to be necessarily locked into one ecosystem for the rest of the time. There's a version of this where, like, honestly, like Adobe could just give Photoshop out like for free to home users, like a bunch of other companies do, because they get, basically like how Windows is now. Like, just make Photoshop free. Maybe there's like an ad, I don't know, somewhere, but like they get their revenue from companies buying bulk licenses. But because the line must go up and Adobe's a publicly traded company and we're in late stage capitalism, they're going to do this. So yeah, I'm just not going to invest further in this company.
Okay, so I'm actually going to go back and refute a little bit of what you said. First, you said a lot of their products work well. The point I was making earlier is a lot of their products work okay.
Right.
There's a whole nobody out there takes Adobe
Yes,
Audition seriously.
I remember Dreamweaver.
Yes, good old Dreamweaver.
Piece of shit.
The thing is, if you're a professional, you definitely are. Outside of like Photoshop and Lightroom, if you're a pro in any particular field, you probably are not using Adobe's products. You're probably going to be using DaVinci or Avid if you're a video editor. You might even be using Vegas Pro, because honestly, like there's not much that Adobe has that Vegas Pro doesn't. After Effects is that other one exception, is some pros are actually making good use of After Effects. But yeah, outside of that, honestly, the thing is, Adobe knows that their best two products are in this one plan, and they use it as kind of a gateway to get people into their ecosystem, at which point they want to upsell you into the, is it what, $60 a month now for this suite? Anyway, yeah,
it's horrifically expensive. Like, it's
gross. But yeah, that is their methodology. That's basically the scheme that they're operating on. And the thing is, honestly, like, you mentioned you don't want to be stuck on any platform, which I couldn't agree more. I've been pretty deep into Mac for quite a while, but I still always kind of have it in the back of my mind. I don't want to get stuck on anything that's just an Apple only product anywhere I don't have to be. And that's one of the things that, sorry, I know I say it too often, but that's one of the things that got me into DaVinci. DaVinci Resolve is, it's available under Windows, Mac, and I'm pretty sure Linux. So yeah, it's been, and frankly, it has everything and a little bit more that Audition has, and it's way better than Premiere Pro for video editing. The only thing it's not as competitive with is special effects, where After Effects would be the leader.
And that is free for home use as
Yes,
well.
yes, it's free for home use, and
Which Adobe could do, whatever.
yep, which leads me into my other comment, which is Adobe could be really smart here if what they did is made, I'm going to call it a Photoshop Lite. Most of the features of Photoshop, but missing a few things that would be really, really ideal and popular among pros, which, by the way, should probably include those Pantone colors. Adobe, you know you could have done that. And also, with either the free or the corporate versions, they could sell their AI tokens. That absolutely is still a way to make money even off home users, and that's where the money could be. Holy crap, they would make so much money, because right now, the fact that they have stolen infinite amounts of intellectual property off of people who put things into their stock photo library. Yeah, honestly, like they can make so much more money off of their AI systems, because everyone was raving about it. It's clearly their next big move. So why are they bilking people for subscription money on the regular software when most of the software hasn't really improved that much in a great long while, and it's their services that are clearly their next step?
Yeah, like again, like if performance isn't an issue and content aware isn't an issue, then like I could go back to like CS3 right now. I'd be fine. Like it just Photoshop has not like done an overhaul in ever. I don't know. Like the earliest version I used for an extended period of time was like the original CS, and the UI of that is still like pretty close to what Photoshop looks like now. They've just like, tweaked the appearance. A lot of the menus are in the same place. A lot of the tools are in the same place.
My original version of Photoshop, and technically I should actually say my original versions of Photoshop were 3.0.4 and 3.0.5. Not CS. There was no CS yet.
Mm-hmm.
This was the original Photoshop 3.0.4, which was for 16-bit Windows, and 3.0.5 for 32-bit Windows. They actually separated them by version number at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I do not miss. No, it was actually really, really good in the time. Obviously, it would be child's play now, but yeah, that was, I think, the only photo editor that had like layers even back then. It was the only one that had some of the like good filters and other things that they're pretty much standard in any app now. But yeah, it was kind of groundbreaking at the time.
Yeah, I used. I think I definitely had like Photoshop 7 installed on a computer, but I that was really before I started messing with it. And then I did use like Adobe Flash CS3. It was garbage. I used a little bit of Go Live and then Dreamweaver, and that was like the last time I did web development with like a GUI thing, or like a what you see is what you get kind of thing. After that, I moved to like all the hip new code editors. So yeah, good times.
Yeah. So anyway, I will say though, yeah, if you can get off of Adobe, I would be both proud and impressed, but I also wouldn't blame you if you just stuck with it.
Yeah, I'll download the trials and mess with it, but yeah, it's annoying how everything keeps getting ruined, and then yeah, I don't have any more thoughts. It's just annoying.
Okay. Well, speaking of things that are constantly getting ruined, Windows, well, Microsoft is going to try to mess with the side taskbar again.
Uh, no. Okay. So this is a kind of a quick thing, but I thought is kind of interesting is um, when Microsoft released Windows 11, it had like a completely new taskbar, like basically rewritten the whole taskbar and start menu. And one of the results of that is that a lot of the extra features in the taskbar from earlier Windows versions did not get ported over. Like one thing that took, I think it was like 2 or 3 years on Windows 11 was the ability to drag documents onto icons in the taskbar to open them in that app, which I didn't know was a thing on Windows. I only knew that was the thing on Mac.
Yeah, it's been there.
It's on, yeah, it's on Windows too. One thing they have not added back still is the ability to put the taskbar on the left or right side of the screen. It can only be on the bottom or the top.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing that this was Stardock. I skimmed this so quickly I didn't catch.
Yeah, so Stardock has their start. It used to be Start 10, now it's Start 11. It's like a utility that overhauls the start menu on Windows 11 and some of the taskbar stuff. And in the latest 2.5 beta, they added the ability to move the taskbar to the left or right side of the screen. So they did what Microsoft will not do. I've never been a side taskbar guy. It kind of feels wrong to me. Mm-hmm. I've also never been a side like dock guy on Mac for the same reason.
Yeah, I get why people do it. I
get the logic, especially if you're like, especially on environments where you need it to be visible all the time and you have a very wide screen that is not tall. A lot of time it might work out to like give you a little bit more usable screen space to put it on the side. So like I get it. I don't like it. It makes me feel gross. But some people want it, and that's fine. And now you can do it with Start 11. So this is still in beta, and Start 11 is a paid utility, but it just costs $10 for one computer, or they have a multi-device for up to 5 for $15. And that is like single purchase. So like whenever they make a new major version, like you have to pay to upgrade, but it's not a subscription. Pretty cheap, honestly, for everything in there, because
I'm assuming the versions are pretty much linked to whenever a new Windows version comes out, like a new major version.
Oh no, I don't know honestly. I don't know what their upgrade cycle is, but I know it's like at least a couple of years.
Okay, I just assumed that because it was Start 10 and then Start 11, though. I guess the fact that there's a Start 11 version 2, I guess maybe they're separating those by version.
Yeah, I think it's cheap, and the upgrades are pretty cheap, and it's not a subscription. And they also have their Object Desktop package you can get that has like everything they've made in one cheap package, so that's an option. But yeah, like Start 11 has a bunch of stuff you can change. It's mostly start menu replacement, so you can make it look like the menu on Windows 10 or Windows 7, or different designs, and like everything annoying that Microsoft has done with the start menu, it just turns off and completely replaces it.
The fixing tool.
Yeah, like if I was still on Windows computers all day every day, you bet I would have every single application this company's made on the computer, because they've done a lot to make Windows less annoying. Also funny is that Stardock got sort of made a name for themselves initially making OS2 software. So that's a fun fact.
So I remember
even remove the ads. Yeah, David, there's no ads in the start menu because they completely replace it. Like it's like overriding the built-in start menu. So,
yeah. So my only real experience with Stardock is back in I think it was Windows 98 days. They were adding features that were, I don't know, it was like flashier effects and stuff. It was more just weird customizations and quirky stuff, and a lot of it was sort of I don't think it's fair to call it copycat stuff, but there were experiments that were actually happening in a lot of Linux, the Linux world, and they were kind of cool ideas, but obviously being that it was Linux, a lot of it was janky and kind of unstable and weird, and Stardock was trying to replicate a lot of that in Windows. The thing is, a lot of it was also pretty unstable, and so yeah, Stardock was fun to use, but oh man, it's not a good idea if you needed it to be stable.
Yeah, yeah. Like it wouldn't surprise me if, like, especially with the taskbar thing, like that just breaks in a really annoying way the next time Microsoft does a major OS update.
Probably.
But from what I've seen, they seem pretty on the ball with like testing their stuff in the new like Windows 11 dev builds. I've not used them extensively myself. Yeah. So like seems fine. And again, this is $10, so that's the better pricing than Adobe. You don't need your $50 subscription here. Actually, I say that while looking at the Object Desktop subscription, which is exactly $50, but that's everything they make.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's an option if you're on Windows 11 and you need the taskbar and start menu to be good. Also, fun fact, I'm bringing it back to JavaScript. The start menu in Windows 11 is React Native. It is written in JavaScript. Or maybe TypeScript, I don't know. But it's like, it's not native Windows code. Like one of the main elements of Windows. They're like, yeah, we're going to use React for this.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Windows is a dumpster fire. Speaking of dumpster fires, Android. Ooh, got him.
I was wondering if you were going to go with that.
So Google and Samsung finally revealed Android XR, which is the version of Android that will go in, I'm just gonna say, like, headsets and glasses. Headsets is in like what was kind of mostly referred to as virtual reality headsets, like, but now we're using fun words like XR to kind of get the point across that, like, they're doing pass-through stuff and it's supposed to be just like layered on top of real world images.
It's more conventionally just mixed reality.
Yeah, mixed reality. But yeah, they showed it off. So this is the thing that Google and Samsung said they were working on like 2 years ago. And now it's finally out. Of course, this is on top of the backdrop of Google's on like its third or fourth attempt on like a virtual reality, mixed reality thing, depending on what you want to count. Because we got Daydream, we got
Google
Cardboard, we got Google Glass.
I adamantly still reject putting Google Glass into any of those boxes.
I would agree because it is a very different stack. However, in this blog post, one of the demo images is turn-by-turn navigations in Google Maps. And as soon as I saw this, I had like a flashback to like all the Google Glass demos. I was like, this is going to be perfect for like walking navigation.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, with Google Glass, it was like little glasses, and then with this, it's like you're wearing a space helmet as you walk on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, Google Glass was purely just a heads-up display that it would be like holding your phone in front of your face, but you could literally just see through parts of the screen. And to me, that doesn't. I don't really think that fits into this space.
Yeah,
even
it's like a distant
covered in the news.
Yeah, it's like a distant cousin of like the what we're using. We've kind of settled on like the way to do this is like either the glasses thing or virtual reality headsets with the ability to pipe in the outside environment. That's kind of where we're going.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, they showed this off, and this is very close to a carbon copy of the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Um, all of the interface elements look the same. They're doing a lot of the same app design. It's doing the same thing where they show off using apps in like a mixed reality environment and then like sort of pressing a button or like switching a knob or something, and the outside world is replaced with like a virtual one that kind of looks like real life, which is something Apple showed off a lot on the Vision Pro. Like you can kind of like tune out the outside world and pipe in like a sunset background or a beach or something. Um, they showed off how this will be used for like maybe like 3D photos. You can watch movies. A lot of the stuff Apple was showing off. They have images of you using. You're supposed to be able to use basically any Android app in this as like a 2D window you can move around. I don't know if they're going as far as Apple did, where like it's mapping your environment and you can kind of like pin an app to a wall and then like walk away and come back a day later and it's still on that wall. I don't know if they're doing that necessarily. The images they showed off are mostly just like on the Meta Quest, where you've just got like a bunch of windows floating around you and you can move them around. But this is like it. There are some elements here that the Meta Quest has had for a while, but like if I'm, it's very clear they are mostly riffing off of Apple.
Yeah.
Like it's not really subtle. Some stuff Meta did first, but it's pretty clear where the inspiration is, which is really funny now that the Vision Pro is like not a successful product, and not even for the reason of like, oh, it's one thing that costs $3,500. It's not successful because there's been almost no new apps for it since it came out.
Hmm.
So like basically by every metric it is failing, and then Google and Samsung like almost over a year later, like, guys, we did it, we made it too. Now of course their thing will probably eventually go into a much cheaper thing than the Vision Pro. But of
Yeah.
course we need to wait and see what happens, because that's how Android happened, right? It copied a lot of elements from the iPhone, but then put it in much more accessible hardware. Um,
Uh, I'm gonna disagree on that. I'm not gonna say that cheaper hardware didn't factor in, but I think a lot of the success was one, literally kind of in the same way that some people voted not Trump rather than voting for a candidate. I would argue there was a lot of not Apple that
sure.
factored into Android's success. Also, I think a lot of it had to do with sort of sort of the prospect that Android offered in like attracting Linux users and developers. The open hacky way that you could work with the OS and modify it and build your
Yeah.
own versions of it. Um,
And also in the US, a big thing was carriers, how the iPhone was just on AT&T and T and no one else for a long time. So if you were on Verizon, you're just going to get a Droid.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I think hopefully we'll see this on a wide range of hardware, um, and that will help the app ecosystem. They do mention in here that they are working with like Unity and other sort of like lower level library and engine developers to get software working on this. Unity is really important because like basically every VR game is Unity.
Hmm.
So they need their help here if they want games. Notably, they didn't show off any VR controllers or anything like that in this, or Samsung's demo. They're not even really showing hardware yet. They gave a demo to PR people of like a glasses type device that is nowhere near to coming out. Like they're not even attempting to say that. And then there is another headset manufactured by Samsung that is supposed to come out next year. At least as like a preview product. It's not really clear if that's going to be like a thing intended for normal people to buy. The main input here is like hand gestures. So again, Apple MetaQuest does have hand tracking now, but it's not really the main input method.
Yeah. So, if it, I'm just gonna predict, because this seems to be kind of the strategy everyone's gonna go with. Hand tracking will probably be the primary way to use this out in the world or around the house. But for gaming, I imagine you'll just be able to pair a controller or controllers to it via Bluetooth and just use them that way. Which makes sense. That's how it should be. It's a very obvious approach. Also, really quickly, as far as hardware, more specifically headsets, and kind of going back to a little bit the previous point, I have a funny feeling Samsung is probably looking to make something very similar to the Vision Pro. Look, I'm not saying it will be to the same quality and that it won't make a few cuts in a few spots, but I would be shocked if they're not looking at that and saying, you know what, we want to own this space. We want to take it away from Facebook, Meta, whatever. And so we're willing to subsidize this in the interest of winning this war. The same way Samsung kind of did with phones.
Right. And ultimately, like what they've done with wearables in the last couple of years, where they're like, this is too tiny of a market for us to like try to do our own thing. We're just going to work with Google now. Like, we don't want to deal with this anymore. Yeah, like my big point of interest here is all of the attempts at this so far have been, well, I say that as if there's been a lot of attempts, but the space right now is the space right now is you have the MetaQuest, which is where all the games are, and like no productivity software. You don't want to try to use that for work. Like they're trying to brand that as much as they can in after Apple came out with the Vision Pro, but like no, that's not good for that. And then on the other side of the spectrum is Apple with the Vision Pro, which is made almost exclusively for productivity work. With games as like an afterthought. Like there's still not really a lot of games. So I want to see where Google lands between those two extremes. And I would like them to actually try with games, because I hate Meta. I don't want to give them any more money. I think it'd be really cool if in a couple of years, when I need to, swap out my Quest 3, if Google has an option that has like enough games for it to be kind of a replacement. That'd be cool. I don't know if they'll do that, because we've all seen Google try to build a games platform.
I was gonna say Stadia's bad mark is very prevalent here.
It didn't go well. Here they have a little bit of an advantage, because Unity is already set up to make Android VR games, because the Quest is Android. It's just not Google's Android. So in theory, to get the Quest games onto here, they need to replicate all of the APIs that Meta has made, or at least in Unity, whatever, make sure there's equivalents that work. And they need to get those developers to publish them on the Play Store and make sure it's all squared away with whatever in-app purchases they're doing, or anything else that's a Meta bit that needs to be replaced with the Google bit, which is work. So I don't know if they're going to put in that work, because I've seen this song and dance with tablets for forever. We already talked about this many times, where it should be pretty easy for them to be, they've done this a lot, where it's we have a new form factor. Don't you want to optimize your apps for this new form factor? No, like Google doesn't even want to do. Uh, so there's that issue. There's the other issue where like Android as an operating system is not really that good for like desktop type productivity. Like they show off demos of here of like someone using a bunch of different Chrome windows, but it's like Chrome on Android is a very different thing than like desktop Chrome. So it's kind of a different workflow. You run into a lot of the same. You're going to run into a lot of the same issues here that you run into trying to run Android apps on Chromebooks, where a lot of them are not really optimized for like not a touchscreen. So there's a lot of things that they have to do here that aren't automatic. As much as I'm sure they'd like to make that impression in this blog post where they're like, oh, all the Android apps will work because it has the Play Store. It's like, well, all the Android apps are going to be installable. Yeah. That doesn't mean they're going to be good. So I'd like to see Google try here. In theory, this should be a lot easier for them to build a platform than it would have been with Stadia or Android apps on Chromebooks because they already have a bunch of productivity software. It just needs some refinements for this different, interface model. And there are already a bunch of games being built for Android as a VR platform. It's just the Android as a VR platform that doesn't have Google services. So they need to get developers on board with this. So I'd like to see this work. Outside of games, I don't really know if I would want to use this because, again, Android as like a productivity environment to me is not that attractive. I tried for many years to like use Android tablets as like secondary laptops and Chromebooks with Android apps, and I did not enjoy the experience. So yeah. Also, remains to be seen if this will be as open as Android on phones. Like, will there be the same switch in here to like sideload apps? I would hope so. And if it is, then it's better than Meta that makes you like create a developer account and like do other toggles to sideload stuff.
Yeah. Man, so part of me does wonder, like, we're seeing kind of the sort of what do I want to call this? First, these are the demo, like the animated demos that they're showing right now are sort of the idealized version of what this can be.
Right.
I don't think any of this stuff is actually recorded straight from a screen or anything like that. This is stuff that they're creating in another application and making it look, hyper realized. And I don't think we really know exactly what this experience is going to be like. As far as how apps work within this ecosystem, we obviously don't know a lot of things about that. Like you mentioned, the productivity environment. How's the software going to work? Honestly, I think they'll probably be able to take advantage of some of the features of Android, but there's probably a whole lot of stuff that's going to need to have like whole new versions of apps built to live within this ecosystem and behave well, given that a lot of this stuff is going to be controlled with gestures on your hand. And some of those are probably going to have really weird overlaps with things that are built into apps. Just as a easy example of this, remember when Android introduced gestures for the OS and a swipe from the left or right was your back gesture? Or it activated the back button basically. And that just happened to overlap with hamburger menus, which everyone had already gotten used to and liked, or mostly liked. So I'm just imagining how a gesture here is going to blow up some set of gestures that were working really well in Android apps. I'm right now, I kind of don't see that going super well.
Yeah.
But also,
And
we don't know. We don't know what this is going to be like until we're actually wearing it, or at least hearing from someone who's wearing it and using it.
yeah, and even if there are no like usability issues, there still has the Vision Pro problem, where the Vision Pro is an iPad on your face. It has the same app library issues and technical limitations of an iPad. And Android is better in that regard, in that like you can sideload more apps and stuff, but like it's still Android. They're still not like I can't get full Photoshop on this. I can't get my Visual Studio Code on this. I can't get the desktop versions of a lot of apps I use.
I'm gonna
Right, there's like all of those issues on top of it.
I will throw the breaking or counter to that of, if they have a good virtual desktop solution, and in a second I'm going to say why this is a big if, but if they have a good virtual desktop solution, kind of the same way that Meta is sort of hacking together a good an okay virtual desktop solution, and Apple has one, but it's also a little janky and weird. Like, neither of them are doing it right, but they're doing okay middle point solutions. If a good virtual desktop solution exists for this, and it's not, it can't be kind of like the days when use your tablet as a second monitor apps. You know what I'm talking about. Install this app on your iPad or your Android tablet, and then you install this other app on your computer, and look at that, it sort of works. No, this has to be as native as they can make it.
Yeah, world's slowest VNC connection.
Yeah, exactly. But if they can do that,
Cody, I know that's not going to happen because Google doesn't make desktop software.
Okay, now you just hit the comment I was literally just lining up.
Right.
But yeah, that's the whole catch to this, is Google is kind of terrible at desktop software, as proven. By the way, literally this week, I fixed a bug that I've had in Google Drive Desktop for a year. Actually, over a year, I think. My Mac has, at least when I don't force kill this thing, my Mac has had the Google Drive for Desktop app running at 100% on one core just when it runs. And it turns out it was some corrupt permission issue, and the app doesn't tell you this. It doesn't give you any sort of clues. The only way you'll notice is if you open up Activity Manager, or in my case, I have another thing that shows me when the processor is warmed up for any reason. And yeah, it was just having this problem. It would not sync files for sometimes days at a time. There was a whole lot of really weird, funky behavior, and it never told me any of this stuff. And the app has, let's be honest, plenty of other problems. Lots and lots of complaints exist about the Google Drive for Desktop, and we're just talking about a syncing app. This is not a hard, or should not be a hard thing. Corbin and I were talking about this the other day. No company seems to be able to make good syncing apps anymore. Dropbox has certainly dropped that ball. OneDrive is certainly not good on Mac. I would argue is not particularly wonderful on Windows either. And everyone else, like Box, I guess, and whoever else exists out there, yeah, none of them are actually good. So, sure, it's an app category that has its own problems, but it should be one of the simplest apps, and even there, it's not very good. I don't have faith that they're going to work around the virtual desktop solution very well either.
It's funny because they have a virtual desktop solution already, and is it a Chrome app now? I don't know. The server part of Chrome Remote Desktop, I don't know if that runs in Chrome or not.
Well, that, at least, okay, I haven't used it in a while, because the last time I tried using it, it was fully broken on Mac OS. Just it stopped working entirely. And they didn't fix it for, I think it was like, well, it had hit like 9 months without a fix. And so I just gave up on it. It stopped being worth it. And between Macs, they have a great remote desktop built in that doesn't cost any money. It just works great. You use it through the Finder. Like, it's all integrated and everything. So, yeah, I switched to using that when I needed it. And I haven't actually used that in a long time now.
Carson said it's entirely a PWA now. Okay. Yeah, so Google can't build desktop software.
Yeah.
Also, Carson brought up Splashtop. I loved Splashtop. I used it exclusively in high school because my laptop was a Chromebook. And I would remote into home so I could play like Civ 5 on the Chromebook, streamed from home. And it was great.
Makes sense.
Good times.
So, I really like the idea of this. I think, like, you bring up the issues of Photoshop and a code editor, and that's where I think you don't necessarily need those running native. If you have a computer and you can do a good virtual desktop situation, I'd be okay with that. Where I'm not as okay with it is, because think about the scenarios where you're going to be using those things. You're not going to be walking around the house while you edit your photos or type in code.
Well, sure, but I'm thinking like this is the idea of these is to be like a computer. Like, this is a thing you would bring to, like, on your work trip instead of a laptop. But it's like, okay, you still need a laptop somewhere to do like the slightly complicated stuff. It's like, well, now I need 2 computers.
Okay, but what if you could, let's just say hypothetically, you could leave your laptop sitting in your carry-on bag on the plane, and it's basically just the home base to run other stuff. And obviously you shouldn't do that for heat reasons, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I could, but also that's like, twice as expensive to have that set up. So
okay, but yeah, I mean, it's a computer you'd probably have anyway. I don't think most people are looking I don't think too many people are looking at an XR platform and saying, this is going to replace my desktop computer. Not yet. Someday, sure, that can be a conversation, but I don't think that's where this is taking us in the next few years. To me, this is more the interface that gets us to XR, VR, AR, whatever. And that I'm okay with. I'm okay with the idea that this is sort of like using an iPad to remote into a website. You could do that. Like, should you do that? Maybe, maybe not. But you could take an iPad, attach a keyboard, and you could go perform maintenance on a website. That's a thing you can do. In that scenario, the iPad is just an interface to a thing. And that's how I sort of see the XR goggles or glasses or anything along those lines. It's just the interface tool that gets you to something else. If you're using your local computer as the thing that's actually running that software, is it the ideal scenario? No, but it's not terrible. The ideal scenario obviously is something that is designed for an XR platform. And I think software is going to take a long time to catch up to that. So I'm okay with something that's a step in the middle. But a step in the middle is also a very clumsy step.
I'd like this to be good, but I've lived through enough Google building a new platform with Android as a crutch to know better than to be optimistic here. So,
and
we'll see.
I want this to be good, but I've lived through enough VR promises and all of their various incarnations to see that, honestly, outside of basically Beat Saber, none of it has really worked out yet.
Yeah, I mean, I really like my Meta Quest, but it is like basically just for games. I've tried a couple times to like do productivity stuff in it, but my options are remote desktop or like whatever works in a web browser. So, so not that great of an experience. David said they'll just go up and kill it, just like everything else Google does. I mean, I think this will take a lot more to kill because Samsung is involved.
You said exactly what I was going to say again.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is
last
the thing
time
is Samsung
the only
is not going to want to give up on this because Samsung recognizes that this is a place they want to be. This is a good business to be in. So Samsung is going to push Google to continue and will probably end up subsidizing a lot of the development.
And with Daydream, the only dedicated hardware they ever made was with Lenovo. So they don't care. Google doesn't care.
Yeah, Lenovo's not a particularly great partner.
Lenovo got stuck holding the bag.
Yeah, I think Samsung has so much sway over Google this will be given at least a real chance. Now, whether or not it's going to be a good result, whether or not they're going to solve the various other problems, like obviously Samsung has to solve the hardware problem. Google has to solve the platform problem. Somebody, at least one of them, if not both, have to solve the developer story problem. And it's not just developers for productivity. And I think there's different issues on both sides of this, but obviously solving gaming is gonna be, that's the thing I think a lot of people are pretty burned on with Google. So, you know, we'll see how that gets solved, or if it gets solved. I don't know that. Here's the thing. I honestly don't know if Google and Samsung care to try to win on gaming. Like, they want it to be supported. They don't want people to be out there buying a Meta Quest because the Meta Quest can do gaming and eventually will also get the productivity side sort of figured out. But I think their strategy, at least what we're seeing here, is they want to win on the productivity and lifestyle side because no one has won that yet. Meta has won gaming, but no one has won lifestyle and productivity. Apple sure hasn't. Meta sure hasn't. HTC is off on the side going, wait, was that an option? So right now it's a space Google and Samsung can try to invade and overtake before it's too late.
Well, and it's also the easiest option because they have the Google Play Store. And it's also, like they can just lean on the thing that already exists. And I honestly, there's the entire design is, let's say, borrowed from Apple. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're just doing this because it's what Apple tried. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's as simple as that, Occam's razor. But yeah, it's gonna matter a lot what hardware eventually goes into this, what the games ecosystem looks like. They did mention games in this, but they didn't show any, videos or anything. Again, in theory, it shouldn't be that hard. Like I don't know with VR games how much is necessarily like in the engine and how much is using like directly interfacing with all of the APIs and custom things that Meta has built. I don't know where the line there is drawn. But I would imagine it's mostly in the engine. So if they have Unity working with them, it shouldn't be that hard for most games to be ported over. The main exceptions would just be like maybe the games owned by studios that Meta has. And like those kinds of like exclusive deals. But I don't know. Honestly, like VR development sounds like a nightmare every time I look into it, because it's like, wow, there's 15 people with this headsets and 9 headsets.
Yeah.
So it sounds really awful to try testing and developing for that as a platform. And this will not make it any easier because it's another platform,
Yeah, and
another store you have to upload your game to.
there's absolutely no denying it. Like I've listened to a lot of people talk about how, like, what the developer situation was um for building for the Vision Pro, and all of them basically had some comment about, look, we tried this, we got the headset, or we were trying to do it through the emulator, and this thing or that thing was different, or we didn't really understand how these particular things were going to play off of each other. We tried doing things that were recommended by Apple, and those didn't really pan out super well. In the end, we were like, what are we going to get out of this? Like, how much can we even sell an app for? How many people are going to be part of the install base? And the answers were just, like, progressively worse and worse and worse. And so everyone was pretty happy to walk away. And that kind of leaves me wondering too, is like, how do you attract developers to a platform that's brand new, that that doesn't have, again, the classic, it doesn't have a killer app, it doesn't have particularly good hardware experiences yet. You're walking around with this giant thing on your head. It needs to have a battery, which has to drive some pretty powerful processors and GPUs on 2 displays. Like, these things are still heavy. They're still clunky and cumbersome. They still look weird. People aren't used to seeing this in public, even if you do have a weird projection of your face out the front of it. Come on, Apple, that was just so bad. Like, they could have put little googly eyes on the front of the thing, and it would have been honestly a little less weird. Like, there's so much stuff in this that just doesn't. The hardware isn't there yet. The software experiences don't exist because the hardware is far from being here. And convincing developers to build for this is really going to be tough. All that said, I hate saying this because I know people cringe at it, but the only way I see this working is if Google basically like hits up any person that's ever attended Google I/O and offers them a free headset, and or at least like wildly discounted, or if they do something to really make it so easy for developers to get in on this, and then also seed out a bunch of headsets to, frankly, anyone who's likely to spend a ton of money. Because
Like,
needs
this
to be an app
isn't.
ecosystem, and you can't have an app ecosystem without people that buy apps.
Yeah, like, this isn't hard. Like, go find all of the VR app and game studios, give them a headset, maybe say, like, if you publish, your app and like support it for this long, we'll pay you like $1,000. I don't know, like some incentive.
Take out the 30% for a year.
Yeah. Like, again, like, it's just money and like making an effort. Like, this is what. Because again, like, all of with the games, they're already being made for Android. This is not as big of an ask as, like, please make a video game. Please make a AAA video game for our weird version of Linux that has more latency.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, Android is a weird version of Linux, but so like, it's not difficult. They just need to spend the money and do the effort. It's not moving mountains here.
Also, just go pick. You don't have to be clever or elegant with this. Go find the things that already exist that very obviously are going to be significant on the platform or could be, and literally just pay for some sort of exclusive. Go to the company that makes Beat Saber and literally just say, we want Beat Saber 2.
I think that might be meta. I think they own that.
It very possibly is. So, and okay, if
'Cause
that's the
it's
case, it is what it is. But yeah,
right.
go
There's other
find-
games like Beat Saber. You can find those. There's like a couple games that are very similar.
Yeah. But go approach some company that makes something. You know what? Go approach Valve. Okay, that's probably not going to work out, but you get the idea. Find them and say, look, we want Alex 2. And okay, again, probably not going to work because they're trying their own VR platform. But go find all of the companies that make a thing and see if you can't get them to make an exclusive for your platform. Something that will really cause a bunch of people to say, okay, you know what? Even if this sucks, I'm willing to pay a little too much to have this one thing that I really want. And yes, I'm describing games, which, like I said, is probably not where they're going to be immediately successful. But, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some productivity or lifestyle thing. Honestly, I think lifestyle might be more successful, but...
I mean, like... I know one of the developers that did make pretty good Vision Pro apps out of the gate was Microsoft. Like, they updated a lot of their Office apps. The Office apps are pretty good on Android tablets already, so I don't know if that's really something they need to work on. But yeah, like I ideally, if Google was a better run company, they would look at this as an opportunity to go, okay, let's look at our Android apps and see what needs to be improved for all form factors that are not a touchscreen. So we finally get like a good Gmail app that is good on here, as well as Android tablets, as well as Chromebooks. This is a thing they should be doing, but they're not because this is Google. So, there's a lot of things that they should be doing, and very few of them will happen. So yeah, I'm interested. I hope I maybe get like a free Android XR headset or something, but that seems
it's unlikely.
Probably
but at
not.
the same time, I'm not even. Look, this sounds crazy, but I'm actually serious. I think that's a requirement. I think it's genuinely a necessity. They're going to have to seed out a ton of these headsets just to get people started. It's literally going to be the promise. Look, I know that this is an outrageous expense, but I think if you want to catch up to where Meta is right now, and it's not even going to happen overnight, certainly, but if you want to even make a splash into this market where you're already competing against a lot of other pretty high-ranking companies, and only one of them is successful thus far, I think they're gonna just have to basically admit that they're starting from behind. I think they're gonna have to eat the cost. They're gonna have to seed out. I'm just gonna ballpark probably. Wow, it sounds crazy to say this, but probably at least 100,000 headsets to developers, and start by saying just outright, you know what, your first for the next year, any Android XR app, not something that installs to somewhere else, but any Android XR app, where just no commissions, no nothing, you get 100% of what you sell minus taxes or whatever they can't avoid. That's it. Like, we're not taking a cut of it, period. If they do that,
yeah. I mean,
they might get a decent number of developers who are like, okay, you know what, we'll give it a shot. Because if they think that they can make good money, and they're looking at all the other headsets that are getting seeded out to a bunch of other developers, they, at the very least, they might be sitting there saying, you know what, if we make something that they want, we'll make good money. Look, I know that sounds like a huge expense, and it really is. But they're gonna make them. They're gonna make those headsets anyway, and if there's a good enough size install base, it that alone can be the motivator. Look, we know how many Vision Pros existed in the beginning. They told us it was a few thousand. That was not enough.
And the developers who were trying to make apps ahead of time had to physically go to an Apple office and go in like the locked room to make their app that they weren't allowed to leave. Yeah, it's not complicated. It's just money. Like Meta owns the standalone VR space right now simply because they subsidize the hell out of app development and hardware. Like, there's no way they were selling the Quest 2 for as cheaply as they did for a while at a profit, or like, a big profit. I'm sure like after a certain point with
yeah,
how many they were making and how old it was getting, it turned into like the Nintendo
helps.
Switch. Yeah, it turned into the Switch where like I'm sure you're getting this chip for like $7. But it's not complicated. They just need to like spend money to build something. But Google has a very serious case of the if we build it, they will come mentality with everything they've built, and it doesn't work. So I'm not feeling confident it'll work here, but I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for there to be more competition here. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Also, please send me a headset, please.
Yeah, I'd like one. I'll try to use it.
Oh, I will use.
So, yeah. Okay, so let's do the TikTok thing really quick, and then I need food.
Yeah, this one is fortunately a quickie. Just because, like, we've kind of avoided talking too much about this in the last few months, just because it's obviously an ongoing thing, and honestly, not much has happened. But it's finally kind of coming to a head. The due date for TikTok to sell to a company, which a lot of people are still misreporting this, saying that it has to sell to an American company. As far as I'm aware, that was not actually part of the law. It just had to not be a Chinese company. Maybe I'm mistaken. Either way, TikTok is still owned by ByteDance. It is
right. Either way, it doesn't matter because everyone knew that was a non-starter.
yeah. It was a ridiculous request. Honestly, it was dumb. No one thought that they were going to do that, except for some greedy a-holes that basically want to be the buyers themselves. Anyway,
Oracle
or various other right-wingers kind of thought that they were going to be the big winners here. And they keep talking about it, but they've never been able to put in a accepted offer. Anyway.
Yeah, it was the Oracle guy, and then the one other. It wasn't.
Well, there was Stephen Miller who was talking about it. But trust me, there have been probably a dozen different.
I want to say Peter Thiel.
Yeah, I think
I feel like he said that, and if not, it's something he would want to do if given the opportunity.
Oh, for sure. So anyway, yeah, various people have wanted to buy it. Obviously, they weren't going to offer up nearly enough money. They were going to be skeevy about it in whatever way. And look, I'm hardly a fan of TikTok. I don't think particularly highly of the platform. I also don't really have anything super against it either. But yeah. So my personal experience with TikTok, I'll say, is I made an account a couple months ago, and then the account got banned in like 2 days, even though I'd not made a single comment. I think I followed like 3 people. So I don't really know why that happened. But yes, that's been my experience with TikTok. I've not tried to make a new account. Corbin, they heard about you. Your reputation precedes you.
I made an account and then immediately started posting racist videos.
Oh no, you didn't even have to post anything. They just knew you were going to.
Right.
your
Yeah, because they're
past
Chinese. They
experience.
were spying on me with various methods, and that's why the government wants to protect me from them doing that.
Yes. So anyway, the TikTok CEO, as this article is pointing out, he has or is going. Sorry, has yeah. I think he already met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. He's obviously trying to talk Trump into basically a stay of execution. All this is slightly interesting because the due date, like the date that kills TikTok effectively, is a month and a day away, which is exactly one day before Inauguration Day. So in theory, TikTok will be banned on the first day of Trump being in office. Whether or not there's any significance to this, we'll see. TikTok has also, or sorry, the Supreme Court has also agreed to hear TikTok's arguments, though it's unclear how that's going to go. I have a feeling it's.
And I'm sorry. Can you imagine trying to explain TikTok to Donald Trump or most of the people on the Supreme Court? Like not the ones like Amy Coney Barrett, who's like 35 or whatever, but like the
She's
really
definitely
old
not
ones.
35.
Is she older? Okay. I know
Uh,
she's like younger because she's a new pick, and
I believe
that's the
she's
strat
late
for.
40s.
Okay. So like, again, no, probably knows what TikTok is.
Oh,
But
she's
like
52.
some of the other, okay, maybe knows what TikTok is.
Okay, so I will say this. First off, I think Trump at this point actually knows. Legitimately, I think he has. Man, I hate even giving him this little bit of credit, but the dude was perpetually online, like terminally online. So he knew Twitter pretty freaking well, or at least well enough. He still could type Kofefe, but look, the guy
Yeah.
he knows enough about technology in that sense, and I think he also has a concept of YouTube. And if you literally just explain TikTok is YouTube but with short videos, and kids like to dance and make trendy stuff, like, you say that and he's gonna go, okay, sure, fine, whatever, I get it. And like, that's not hard to convey. I think the moment that you try to say any of that stuff to Clarence Thomas, he's pretty much just gonna wave his hand at you and say, wait, are you not here to give me more money? And yeah, he doesn't know what the hell any of this stuff is. Fine. But yeah, I think the Supreme Court is a lot less clued in than Trump, which is a really devastating thing to have to say.
Yeah, we're just back to the Congress hearings thing where every time like they bring out Mark Zuckerberg to explain like what an email is.
Yes.
And how the
TikTok
internet
Jack
is
from
a
Trump's
series of
campaign will explain it. Nice.
internet is a series of tubes.
Oh yes, that old line. But
Yeah, I'm so
also
this
not that old.
The TikTok. I know there's so much stupid stuff happening in U.S. politics right now, but like this is still so dumb. Just because like, also like the is it double speak is a term from 1984? I forget, but like there's the weird thing going on where both Democrats and Republicans have talked about how much of a danger TikTok is, and then like both parties were pretty actively using it throughout the last election. Like Trump famously made an account like a couple months before, and then like I think Joe Biden had an account he was posting to Harris's team. Like it's this weird thing where it's like, oh, it's so dangerous, Americans should not be using it, but we will be there. But like, it's not even just to be like, I don't know. It's very weird. It was, and then for the people who like were paying attention to the politics part, it was always just a very clear like, oh, it's because it's China, you know, like all the a bunch of security experts have been like, TikTok doesn't really do anything that like Facebook doesn't do or Twitter doesn't do, or everyone else. We're just doing nationalism, but like in an even dumber way than usual,
Yeah.
or not national, like protectoralism, whatever.
So, yeah, look, I don't think that there's anything particularly uh it w- I I don't think there's anything wrong with using TikTok as, let's say, a platform for campaigning purposes. Maybe it's a little icky in a few ways, but look, if you're publishing stuff that's meant to be seen in public, who cares if a company may or may not be a quote unquote spy in the process, as long as what you're posting is meant to be public. That said, I do think that both of these things can be true at the same time. Maybe the CCP is using TikTok for spying purposes. That's entirely a possibility. And at the same time, it can still be a platform where some people are posting campaign videos, other people are posting dance videos, other people are going to be posting racist rhetoric, and other people are going to be
Right.
posting uh, K-pop dance videos in response. It can be all of these things at once.
Right. TikTok is not unique in that it's collecting too much data from users.
Facebook,
Um, that doesn't like make it good, but like
right?
a normal country would be like, okay, this seems to be an industry-wide problem. Maybe we should pass a law that is universally applied across everyone. Oh, we can't do that
Yeah.
because Google's lobbying us, or Meta's lobbying us. So
Well, to be fair, passing a law is even when everyone agrees
right,
on something, passing a law in the U.S. is
we
pretty
can't do
tough.
that. Yeah, we can't pass laws either. That's the other problem.
But
Um,
but everyone came together just long enough to agree TikTok should be banned. So that one somehow got through. Um,
mhm. Well, I mean, that is the laws we can do. We can do the laws that restrict personal freedoms. We
well,
are very good at that.
we can do anti-competitive laws. We're literally
Mm,
saying, "Oh, hey,
mm,
here's a platform that exists in another country. Let's pick a winner that is not them."
right.
We don't even have to pick the winner. We'll let other people argue about who the winner gets to be. As long as it's someone in our country, then we've won. And that's what everyone could get behind. And am I saying that that was the motivation here? I don't know. It could be. I don't have the honestly, I don't even really have much of a theory on that. It totally makes sense. It's just I don't know. That being said, I you know, I do think that this is obviously not just about stopping so-called spying. Somebody
Yeah,
wanted to take advantage of this situation, and they were in a position to vote to do it.
it's Mark.
Yes, it's definitely Mark.
It's Mark Zuckerberg. He would like there to not be competition. Someone finally made an app that people open more than Facebook. He's very mad about it. He's mad about it from his weird like bunker mansion in Hawaii that displaced a bunch of people. Um, he's gonna he's gonna talk some sense into those Congress people.
Yes. Um. So now, the angle of this that I
Which is
do.
why we need to bring back Google Plus and a true American social media network.
Oh yeah. Man. I want it would be really funny if Google could somehow get back Nick Nick, whoever Gundotra, who was the head of Google Plus. Vic. It was Vic. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure he'll never come back, but it would be really hilarious if that happened. Um so the angle on this that I do think is important, because truthfully, I don't think TikTok is going to be gone in a month. It could happen, but I don't think it will. Regardless, I will say, I've heard that a lot of TikTok creators have been much more adamant in the last couple of weeks about basically saying, yo, if you like the videos that we do, come find us on whatever other platform. We're on YouTube Shorts. We're on Facebook, or we're on Instagram, or we're wherever. Yeah, this is a thing. It's absolutely becoming a thing. It's not surprising it's becoming a thing. And I'm gonna take the extra step of saying, if there's anyone you like on TikTok, if you haven't heard them already suggesting this, look, chances are they have profile information up somewhere. Go find them somewhere else, because if the offhand
take
chance that TikTok
screenshots
is
of your
dead,
following list,
yes,
to go back to later,
or your For You feed, if you happen to notice that there's someone you don't follow but you just watch a lot of their stuff. Yeah,
make sure to also print out the screenshot you take of the following list, because the U.S. government will also delete any evidence that TikTok ever existed.
yes, that too.
Also, good reminder to say, this is why a bunch of creators and like every single blog and news site you ever go to is like, pretty please give us your email address.
Yeah.
Because over the last couple of years, there has been so much turbulence in these social media networks, and also the ones that are staying relatively stable are de-promoting anything like external links, like anything that takes you off of their app. This is why every website is insufferable now, where you get a giant pop-up that's like, please give me your email, because that's like the thing they should be doing in light of every other option for visibility being diminished. So
Well, for years,
a lot of creators do have like email subscriptions for like a newsletter or blogs or stuff. So
yeah.
Including me. You can give me your email.
Well, for years, people have
I'm not owned by the Communist Party.
Yet.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson's paycheck is coming for you. Anyway, for years and years, we have seen I'm briefly brain farting as I say. It used to be that everyone kind of handed out their Twitter handle as the means to find them. Websites, especially like any news blogs or anything like that, that was the thing that they were handing out to everyone. That was the way you were intended to follow people in the press. And we've all seen that's been ruined. And that is a big part of the reason why a lot of people were so resistant to leaving TikTok, because that's where they spent so much time building a following list. And when they moved to some other place like Mastodon or Blue Sky, they didn't see, like, you move over there, and even after months of kind of petitioning people to move over, like, your Twitter follower count is, let's say, 1 million people, and you could be on Blue Sky and your follower count is like 50,000. And of course, remember, a lot of those followers were also bots and dead accounts and dupes and whatever else, and probably even some inflated numbers. So a lot of people didn't leave because they think a lot more followers are there than really were. But also, it's just hard to get people to move. And, Twitter used to have that part of the market cornered. Now it doesn't. But at the same time, like, that's the thing. It is hard to rebuild those followings. I'm sure a lot of people who built their entire existence on TikTok right now, a lot of them are probably freaking out thinking, wow, I was getting like 8 million views a week off of my videos because I've got a good follower base. I've got a lot of people who just watch my stuff, and the algorithm helps me out. They're all moving to probably YouTube Shorts in large part, and a decent number of people are surely moving to Facebook and Instagram and wherever else. But their view counts are going to be in the toilet. Their existence on these platforms is not going to be nearly what it was. Some of them will be happy that they moved, some of it, if TikTok does go away, they're going to be thrilled that they moved, because at least they still had a place to go and a following to reach out to ahead of it. But I think a lot of them are probably going to see pretty big declines in followers. That said, they, in theory, if they were really building a business, if they were trying to make this a lasting thing, they really should have done this a year ago. They probably should have been doing this practically from the start. Not like I'm making any big moves or anything here, but I've got 2 YouTube channels. Okay, one's basically inactive, but I also encourage people to come to the Discord. I also encourage people to, back then, follow on Twitter, follow on, mostly just Twitter, but also Mastodon and eventually Blue Sky. I really haven't pushed Blue Sky, but I should. The thing is, if you want to be able to keep in touch with people, these are the steps that kind of had to happen. And yeah, people should have been planning ahead in at least a few ways. I think this is why Discord communities have become so popular, because frankly, they're one of the better ways to keep in touch without asking people for an email.
Yeah, and there's been like there's been a bunch of big social media community migrations in the past couple of years, and Discord has not become noticeably worse in that time. So that's been it's stayed pretty much the same. And
I
also
would say certain communities have gotten a lot worse, but
the service itself is
the service is still so
so
far good. God,
yeah.
Don't tell Elon about this.
Well, I'm sure eventually they'll run out of money from all the decade of giant videos they're hosting, but haven't got there yet.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know that there's really much of an end to this story or any good way to cap it off. But I will say that I have a feeling when the RambleCast returns next year, as this is almost certainly the last RambleCast of 2024. I have a feeling there will be an update or two come next year. With TikTok will very possibly be the lead story when we're back. That and probably an endless supply of CES.
The RambleCast will be in vertical video format. We're gonna post it in 60-second sections, so each one will be like 400 videos or so. You can scroll through them. We'll also put, Cody, you need to update your OBS template, and we need to get Subway Surfer on the side.
Oh yes. No, well, top or bottom. I don't think side is how you're supposed to do this.
True. Well, would be really funny.
It kind of would be.
My goodness.
As even as you're making a joke about that, it's also kind of funny because, man, not any channel, but a lot of the Twitch channels that I've just kind of put on to collect drops or whatever. It's funny how much you see something that's very clearly just on the screen to produce more animations. Twitch channels have definitely adopted this need to have junk things happening on screen just so it's a little flashier, a little more active.
I also I got up to go hear the random heavy rain that started, and it still looked like I was in the virtual room.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wait, if I come back in, it looks like I'm still in the room. Oh, there's my counter. It popped in, but now it's gone.
The ghost drawers.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. Good job, Mac.
Yeah, that is interesting. So, awkwardly, that was a lot more visible for me than it was for you. But what in the world? It froze Wait, is it doing that just in OBS or is it live like that? Oh yeah, for some reason it froze the output in OBS. Is this another weird? I don't know why it did that. Let's just try changing screens real quick. Okay, that fixed it. Yes, Corbin fitness check.
Corbin fit check. Yeah, I've got my black shirt that's like $10. I bought like 10 of these in different colors. I've got my cheap pants. I'm wearing like tennis shoes. I also have my like $10 Casio watch on right now. We're rocking it. It's got the orange band. Had to get a different band for it because the stock one has like the like notches kind of where the it's like the metal bands, but not. It's like cheap plastic, and my arm hair kept getting stuck in them when I was taking the watch on and off. So this doesn't have that.
You're being encouraged to match Zuckerberg.
No, that's insulting. The Zuckerberg looks like this because he's paying a lot of money to look like a normal person. When I achieved that simply by being a normal person with a soul.
So you're really
easy
gonna
answer.
Call yourself normal, huh? You're gonna try to get away with that?
I'm more normal than he is for sure.
That's fair.
Because I think like almost every person.
Because you're not afraid of Luigi coming for you.
Right. I don't have to worry about I'm not a healthcare CEO. Seems like easy thing to not be actually.
There, for how few there are, you'd think that would be a low concern.
Are we forgetting? No, Zuck's not a lizard. He's a robot. You're getting your info mixed up.
I mean, for a long time, he was a lizard person.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it in my YouTube again. But there's a video I watch like at least once a month, and it's the video of him eating like toast, and it's like completely covered by robot noises, and it's like one of my favorite videos. Also that and the Sweet Baby Raised compilate. Those are both classics.
Oh, yeah. Here
it is. The Zuck eats toast. I'm putting that in the chat. I love this video so much. Instant serotonin boost. Classic.
Yeah. So anyway, before this goes off the rails and we suddenly have the FBI knocking on our doors.
Right.
You're hungry. I'm actually, well, I've got a few things I'm going to take care of. So I think that's a good wrap-up point. Again, this was very likely, not necessarily certainty, but very likely the last RambleCast of the year. You never know. If something good and surprising happens, maybe we'll do a sneak attack with like one or two quick things if it comes together, and assuming Corbin is not traveling without a mic. I figured he'd pipe up and say something about that, but
no, I can't attempt to record.
Well, actually, the question was more: are you traveling?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay, so that was the answer I was looking for. All right. Anyway, so yeah, again, you never know what'll happen, but assuming this is the last of the year, I hope you all have an excellent Christmas. Wish you a Merry Christmas, and of course, a good New Year. For those who are coming by on the weekends to watch game streams, those are not stopping or going anywhere. And there may be an extra one or two popping up over the next couple weeks, somewhat maybe to replace the RambleCasts or otherwise. Of course, we'll still be active in Discord. So yeah, nothing else changes there. You know the routine, all the good stuff. Hopefully everyone has a wonderful holidays. And Corbin, is there anything you'd like to add on to that?
No, except this year sucked ass. So let's do a better year next time.
Correct, but at least we have Luigi.
Yeah, it didn't suck because of any of the things in here, just other things. Yeah.
Yes, they all know, they understand. We all have jobs, so with that, I let's see. Oh, thank you all for coming by. Yeah, I almost totally lost my thread there. Thank you all for coming by, hanging out, and being part of the conversation, chilling in the chat. Let's see. Huge thanks to Austin, Carson, David, Diablo, and Curvy Mermaid for being supporters of the channel. And for anyone who would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. Any little bit helps, of course. It's always welcome. And with that, I hope you all have an excellent rest of your week, a excellent holiday season, and may all your wishes and dreams come true.
Right.
Good night, everybody.